Okay, so for everybody that's on the call, either live or in person, one, it's going to be recorded. Two, if you have a question in the menu, either at the top or bottom of your screen, or if you're on a phone, there should be something that's a chat function. That's the best way to send questions that you have throughout the meeting. At the very end, I will read those questions off that people have, and we'll address those to the appropriate people. If you need to verbally ask your question at the very, very end, there's a place to, again, it says raise your hand. If you click raise your hand, then that'll note that you actually want to speak. Otherwise, at the very end, if people need to speak verbally, we'll unmute everybody. Otherwise, the best way to do it is just to chat your question. That way we're not having everybody talk over each other, because we may have 30 or 40 people on the call by the time we get done. So,
Eric, how do you want people that are here to answer questions? We got about 10 people
I
here.
would say have them ask you the question, and then you, if we can't hear them, I would say you ask or have them ask you the question, and then you repeat the question, I guess.
At the end.
At the end, yep, when we get to the Q&A.
You want to hear that? Okay, we ready to kick off then?
Go for it.
Okay. I'd like to welcome you here tonight for the 2019 Camp Cuyuna Kickoff. We'll start by welcoming you here tonight, both person and online. I'd also like to take the time, thank you to take vacation time this summer to spend with your troop at camp. We have a lot of exciting things to look forward to this summer. And first, I'd like to talk about our new reservation system. Next slide. As many of you already know, we launched a new council website in January, and I'd like to express the many thanks and appreciation to the council marketing committee, Lime Valley Advertising, for the work of designing this website. I'd also like to thank Shelley Corey for her work to continue to add and edit this website and to keep it up to date. One of the items on this website was a new reservation functionality within our back end. We interviewed 3 different companies and hired Black Pug to provide that service. And I'd now like to introduce Steve. We'll take the next half hour or so to show some features and capabilities of the new website and how to use them. I'd now like to turn this presentation over to Steve.
Okay, Ray, thank you. Thank you for that introduction. And I hope everybody can see my screen and that you can hear me okay. So as Ray said, we provide registration capability, online registration systems. And I'm going to show you how it's going to work for you for your summer camp here. And so first of all, each of you will be receiving an email from the council that contains a link to your registration. Most of you have already created, you registered maybe last year at summer camp, maybe in the fall. And Shelley and the team over at the council has input those registrations into the system. And so at some point here in the near future, you'll receive an email that contains the link into your registration. When you click that link, you're going to be in a screen that looks like this for your registration. Now, the important thing to understand here is your registration is in what's called an estimated status, where if you had done this online yourself, you would have put in estimated counts, and now it's time to confirm your actual attendee counts. I believe when you get your email and when you get your link and you get in, you will see that you have 1 youth in your estimated account and none others here. Now, what you would do then is you would come over here and use these drop-down lists to select the number of each type of registrant that you intend to bring to camp. What I want to point out here is that it's important to understand that however many that you choose to register, you're going to need to pay for those as you check out. So only choose the number that you're prepared to pay for. One other thing is down in the contact section here, if this is red, if it says update information in red, that means there was some information that was required by the council that is missing, that they weren't able to input. In this case, my cell phone is missing, so I'm going to click this, and it brings this up, and I'm going to enter my cell phone, and I'm going to save, and now it's turned green. So now I'm ready to confirm my attendees here. And again, I'm going to show you one more thing before I confirm the attendees. You are not required to create an account to do this. There is no, you can do this without creating an account. But if you'd like to create an account, when I go up here, you can come in here and click the register button, which again allows you to create an account. Why would you want to create an account? An account allows you to upload your unit rosters into the system so that when you're making your registrations, you can just pull the information, the scout and adult information off your account. I'm going to do this without logging in just to show you how it works. So I've come in here and I said I'm bringing 5 youth and 2 adults, 2 full-time adults. I'm not bringing any new scouts. I'm not bringing any second week attendees or anything. And so at this point, I come down here and I click the confirm attendees. So I'm confirming 7 people, 5 scouts and 2 adults. And it shows me what my summary is going to be. I'm going to owe $17.15 minus 150 in early discounts, so $15.65. And it wants me to click here to continue. And as long as my billing information is correct, I can go ahead and do that. If the council was not able to enter your full billing information, you'll need to click over here to enter that. So mine's in there. So you can click here to read the policies. But when you're ready, you go ahead and you click this, that you've agreed to the council policies, and it takes you down to this section where you can pay by either an e-check or a credit card. So I'm sure you're familiar with this. Of course, you enter your information here, and you're going to click Finalize Payment. So what this is going to do is take these, in my case, where I'm doing 5 scouts and 2 adults, take me from an estimated to I'm confirmed that I am bringing 5 youth and 2 adults. Now I can always add more later, and I'll show you that in a little bit. But so here's what I'm actually gonna switch over here instead of putting all my information in here. So once you check out, once you add your count, so here you see I've got my 5 youth and my 2 adults, you're gonna see them all sitting here in this pink color, which means that we're missing information on them. And for example, I'm going to enter information for the first one here. I click it, and I've got an update box, and I come down here and I click, and this is where I need to enter my information. And so I'm going to cancel out of this just a second because I've got a third screen teed up here for you. But the idea here is you need to enter all this information and go on. Here is where I said later on. Now, for example, I'm doing 5 scouts and 2 adults now. A week later, I've got 2 more scouts that want to come in. I can come back into my registration, click the Add Participants, pay for them, and enter their information. But for now, to save time here, I've jumped ahead here because as you can see, I've entered the various information on Johnny, Bobby, Davey, Mikey, and my 2 adults. So now I'm going to go through the full process on this one last scout that I hadn't entered any information yet. So I click that, and I come here. And so I'm going to do Frankie Smith. And Frankie is 13, and he wants a t-shirt, and he's an adult medium. And if you have a popcorn voucher, you can enter the popcorn voucher here. I want to make sure you understand that the popcorn voucher, it's a code you have. And if you see up over here in the corner and behind this window where it's Cedar Valley Troop 122, that voucher, that code is tied to the unit as well as the first name and the last name. So if you're entering that, make sure you get the unit, the first name, the last name correct, and then enter your voucher code. I don't have a voucher code, but I'm going to come down here and select classes. Actually, sorry, I forgot a step. I'm going to come back here a second. Before I select classes, it's good to know what classes are out there. So I'm back in my registration and I'm going to click Event Details. And if I scroll down here a little bit, there's a set of attachments here. And the first thing I want to click is Class Catalog. And that opens up a catalog of, it's being a little slow here. Okay, here it comes. It's just about here. Okay, sorry about that delay here. So here's the catalog of the merit badges. And as I scroll down a little bit here, I can see archery. It's offered, it's every day of the week. It's at 9 a.m., 10 a.m., and 11 a.m., and there's a limit of 20 on each one. And then I scroll down, and here's astronomy that's only offered once at 3:30, etc. But in here, I can read about the prerequisites and other things like that. So let me go back a minute to here. There was another thing here that's called, so that was the catalog. There's the class schedule. And the class schedule looks like this. And now each letter represents an iteration of the class. So here is archery, which is offered at 9 a.m., 10 a.m., and 11. Those are each separate classes, whereas basketry and pioneering is a 2-hour class from 1:30 to 3:30. That's what the AA means here. And so this document is something that if you were talking with your scouts trying to figure out what they wanted to take where, this would work for that to help out. And then one more thing I want to show you, and that is the attendee counts. And when I click this, so this is showing, now this is it for the entire year. And so for the entire, for all weeks. My registration happens to be in week 2. So I need to scroll down here to week 2. And I can see that 3 archeries out of the 20 available and period 1 are already taken, and 1 astronomy is taken, etc. So I can see real time how many classes have been taken, what's still open. All right, so sorry, let me go back then to where I was. I was in my registration. I clicked on event details. We're going to go back to registration details, and this is where I was just about to enter Frankie's information. So I click update information. I've got his name, his age, but I wanted to come down here to select classes. So now Frankie wanted to take archery first period. And over here, I see the classes, and I can scroll down here, but they're listed by periods. So I've got all the periods here. And for example, Frankie's 13. This one has a minimum age of 15. If he had tried to take lifeguard, it would have said the required age has not been met yet. But he wanted to take archery. So I just click it. That's all I did was I clicked the class and it moved over. And in addition, all the other period 1 classes went away. Now, let's say he wants to take camping second period. I clicked that and it moved over here and the other period 1 classes went away. And I scroll down here and he wanted emergency preparedness next, so I grabbed that. And now I've got the period 4 classes, and he wants stand-up paddleboarding and wood carving and Indian lore, and then we're going to give him fire safety, which is just a Thursday class. So he's taking these classes now, and now I click show my class schedule, and you can see it here. Archery, camping, emergency preparedness are all week. BSA stand-up paddle boarding is just a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, etc. And when I'm done, I save it. And now you see them all. Excuse me. Okay. You may be wondering why some of these are yellow and some of these are green. The green has all their information and they're paid in full as well. Oops, sorry, I didn't want to do that. The yellow has all their information, but they have a balance due still, and that's that t-shirt that we added because they said they wanted to take a t-shirt. And so we can make the payment for the t-shirts up here. And to do so, we would just come up here and click payment. It says we owe $24. We would hit the checkout button, and it looks very similar to what we saw before, where we would come down here and pay by credit card or e-check. All right, with that in mind, I want to show you a few things that are available for the Scoutmaster now. So I'm going to come over here to the More tab, and I'm going to drop this down, and I want to look at reports here. And so first I could pull up a unit roster, and I don't know whether your camp is going to ask you to bring a roster in from here because they've already got all that, but that would be up to them. But this just shows the unit roster. The rest of these reports, so class schedule, scout summary, class summary, and period summary are reports that you may want to have prior to summer camp. So let me show you the class schedule. And the class schedule is designed to be 1 page per scout. So here's Davey Gerber. And we see that he's got archery period 1, small boat sailing period 2, and small boat sailing is actually a 2-period class, so it covers period 2 and 3, and then basketry and pioneering, etc. And then we scroll down, and the next page is Mikey, and the next page is Johnny, etc. So this is designed to be given to the scouts. Then there is the scout summary, which is designed for the Scoutmaster, and you're going to see it's the same information, it's just summarized here. So you can very easily see what Davey's taking, what Mikey's taking, what Johnny's taking. So then we come back over here and we look at the class summary, and the class summary is the same data again, but now it's sorted by class. So we see archery, Davey, pretty much everybody, all but one are taking archery, all at 9 a.m. Davey's taking astronomy, Davey's taking pioneering, etc. So you can see, who's going where together. And then the last report, well, not the last, there's more, but this report, the period summary, this one is just that. It's 9 a.m. period 1. This is where everybody's supposed to be. Period 2, this is where everybody's supposed to be, etc. So the idea is that after you go and pick your scouts, classes and all, you can come in here and you've got these 4 reports that show all of this. Now I want to show you one more thing that's kind of interesting. And the next report is the Scoutmaster QR codes. When I click this guy, I get this report. And each of these QR codes on the bottom would show just that Scouts classes, just their schedule. And whether you want to give that out to the Scouts or not, or whether you want to give it to the parents of the Scouts is entirely up to you, the Scoutmaster. But this big guy up here, this is yours. This is showing you the entire unit. And so you can point your phone here, or you can log in with this. And we've got this tip here that if you're using it on your phone, you can, on an iPhone or an Android, you can save it as an icon. So it's very easy just to click into it any time. But what I've done here is, let me show you. I've already opened this up here. So using that QR code, it takes you to here on your phone. And you see your troop roster. And we can come in and we can look at Frankie here. And we can see that Frankie's got archery at 9, camping at 10, etc. And if I go back also into the merit badge roster and I look at archery, I see all these guys are in archery. And chess, for example, just Bobby took chess. Now let me go back to the troop roster a minute. And do you see how over here for Davey it says MB 0 of 4? Well, he's taking 4 merit badges and he's completed 0 of them so far. And that's, of course, it's prior to camp. Now, what we want is that the camp will be entering completed requirements each day, each evening. And so the idea here is if I go into archery and look, right now nothing is completed, but you would be able to see if somebody has a question on Tuesday, if somebody has a question on Wednesday, you would actually be able to pull this up on your phone and see which of these guys are checked off. And in addition, this data is going to be out there for 7 years, so councils that have used this for several years already, for example, it may be a Monday, the weekly meeting, and somebody has a question about a merit badge from 6 months, 8 months, a year ago.
Steve?
And you could actually pull it up. Yes.
My apologies for jumping in. Your screen is frozen. We're still looking at the QR code stuff.
Oh, you're kidding. Well, that's not good. All right, just a minute. Let me do something a second. Let me see if this may be my fault for not understanding how the Zoom meeting worked. Let me ask you, do you see it now? Do you see the?
Yep, everything's moving again.
All right, I'm sorry. That was my fault. I had it on a different screen and I thought it would automatically come up like that. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
I'm gonna start this over. Okay, I'm gonna go back to the QR code. So when you use that QR code with your phone, you're gonna get this up on your screen. And so here, if I go in through troop roster and I go in and I click on Davey and I come down and I see Davey's schedule, I can go back. I can obviously go to Johnny and see his schedule. I'm going to go back to the home screen. I'm going to do merit badge roster. And this is where I could click into archery and I can see everybody who's taking archery. So now I'm going to go back to the troop roster and I'm going to pull up Davey, and notice here, this is where I said Davey says MB 0 of 4. He's taking 4 merit badges. He's completed 0 of them so far. And again, it's prior to camp. That's to be expected, and nothing, he hasn't done anything yet. But when I click him and I go into archery, I see all the requirements here with little check with boxes to be checked. And once So again, what we want is for the camp each evening to be updating who completed which requirements, in which case these will be checked off to show what he has completed that day or that week so far. So, and then the other thing I was saying is, let's say it's September, October, November, you know, post-camp, it's a year from now, you'll be able to go in here and let's say Frankie got, of his 7 merit badges, he got 5 complete. You would be able to come in here and see that. So now, we're gonna go back over here a minute. And the reports I showed you were basically the pre-camp reports. After camp, this advancement detail, I'm gonna go ahead and click on this guy. After camp, this is going to show the status of how he did at camp. If he got a complete, this will be marked complete. The attendance will be marked over here, and the requirements that he completed on each of these will be marked. So, and of course, this is Davey, and I scroll down a little bit, and this is Mikey. So this is the same data I was just showing you on the phone. It's just in a paper format. This is a PDF that you can print. In addition, there's going to be 2 other reports here. There's going to be blue cards plain paper and blue cards BSA cardstock, and the plain paper is going to look like this, where you're just submitting just paper or cardstock, but blank, because we're putting all this in here. And of course, after camp, the requirements that were completed will be in here, and down here there will be signatures and that sort of stuff. For those that would prefer to use the actual blue cardstock, you can use this report with the 34-124 SKU, the cardstock that you're familiar with, and these are just the single cards. And this, as you can see, you're gonna use the envelope setting on your printer, and we're gonna fill in around that. And then last, I think last, is the Scout Book export, the Troop Master export. So if you're using these tools, this will export your completed merit badge data in the format that these tools need for importing. One thing they will not have the Scouts BSA member ID. So you'll have to add that in. But otherwise, then once you add, because these tools require the BSA member ID in order to do the upload, but you would have to add that in. This makes it easy to get it up, get the data up into those tools. And then there's also just a Excel version that just exports all the merit badge data into the Excel format. So that pretty much covers everything I have on how you would go about, again, let me just recap a minute. You're going to get an email with a link to your registration. Your registration is going to be in an estimated status where you need to confirm your counts, pay, and then once you do that, you'll be able to come in here and update all this information and run these reports you showed. So I guess with that, questions?
If you have questions, the best place to put those is in the chat function. So far, no questions, Steve, but we might have some later.
Okay. All right, so I am going to turn the control back over. So I'm going to hit stop share.
Okay, well, there's some questions here we'd like to ask, so.
Okay. And
Yep, I can.
for everybody using the chat function, we'll ask those questions as well.
The question is, will it not save changes until you pay?
So it does actually save all the changes, regardless of whether you pay. So it's an excellent question. Where I had shown you where I was entering the names and picking classes and all, it's saving all that information in your registration. But this is a very important but. If you haven't paid yet, you're not holding those spots in those classes. So those classes could still fill up. Those merit badges could fill up. But to go back to it, if you entered a lot of the information and then weren't able to pay right now and wanted to come back the next day or 2 days later, that information would all be in there, and then you could make the payment and check out.
For the most part, the merit that'll make a difference is really like your rifle, your shotgun, your stand-up paddle boards, your kayaking that have a pretty low number, welding, because like welding, we're allowed to have, what was it, 3, 4 at a time, something like that, 4 or 5. Most of the other merit badges have such a high number, we're never going to get to that point, and that's done on purpose. But there are a few that could affect. Question? Correct. You could print the blue cards right off of here, bring them in to buy the awards. Now, it's important to note for the advancement reports, so you would have them to put on the advancement reports. It's important to note that you still need to turn in an advancement report, either online through Scout Book or here at the office. This does not automatically do it, but it automatically generates the reports for you.
Ray, you need to repeat the questions because we can't hear the questions being asked.
Oh, I'm sorry. It was a question about they had to fill out their own blue cards, just use those online. Sure. For camp, they'll be on there for the counselor. So when they register the merit badge, they're in effect giving them the blue card electronically. Yeah, exactly.
Ray, a related question here from Mary. She said, normally they have to have blue cards. So in the past, we've had to have blue cards at camp. So the question is, we don't need those anymore?
Correct.
Okay, so no more blue cards at camp. Okay.
I mean, if you're old school and want to do it still that way, that's fine. But this is the this is electronic version now. So it's blue cards in the 21st century. Okay.
Another question from Chris is, who in the unit will get the email? So that might be a Steve question. Who in the unit gets emails, confirmations, things like that?
That's actually a Shelley question, and she's gone now for a week, so I cannot answer that.
Okay.
Can I take control just a second again?
Sure. Yep, go for it.
All right. Let me do this. And is my screen showing again?
Yes.
Okay. So on the contact side here, and I really didn't talk about this well. So in the very beginning, when I said my cell phone was missing on my contact, so there is a contact person for the registration, and then there are the participants going on, going to the event. The contact person, this is the email that's going to get notified when you check out, when you make payments, when Shelley sends out the thing. It's the email that's in here, one per registration.
So it's going to be either the Scoutmaster or whoever made the reservation initially in the old system.
Correct.
Okay. That, Chris, if that doesn't answer your question, we can try to get you a better answer. But shoot us a note, Chris, if you have a follow-up question, or if that answered it. Okay, he says he's good. So. Okay.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and.
Yep, that's fine.
All right, I'm going to turn the control back over to you.
Okay. Let's see here, just a second. Oops.
Are we ready?
Yep.
Okay, there has been some changes to the 2020 campsite reservation policy. So this is how you reserve your site for next summer. You have your site that you reserved for this summer already from last year. And this was an ongoing discussion that we've had. If you back up 4 years ago now, the system was basically you can sign up for your site the week you're at camp. What was nice about that was there was definitely campsite ownership, but the downside was also if you're a new troop or you're a smaller troop, you pretty much couldn't get into what I would call the most popular sites unless someone didn't come back. That system had to change 4 years ago when we went from 6 weeks to 5 weeks because it wasn't fair to week 6 at all because they immediately lost all their campsites. So we went to a system of, hey, you could register, I think it was June 15th for the site, which was good in the fact that everyone had equal ground, but it also caused some problems because we had some small troops taking the largest campsites, but then the large troops didn't have a place to go because they only could fit in literally 2 campsites in the entire reservation because of their size. So it caused some problems there. Also, on the first day, you had some people at the office trying to make a reservation. You had some people online trying to make a reservation, some on the phone. Well, who got it first? Well, generally the person here, because they were here, so they may have taken the site where someone called in at the same time, but it went into voicemail. So it caused some problems. So with this system, one thing that allowed us to do was put everyone on an equal playing field and do it all online. It also allowed us to put numbers that each campsite could do. So if I was a troop of 5 boys and I wanted, let's say, Apache campsite, I use that as an example because it's the largest campsite, I could go there, but it didn't automatically block out another troop as long as we didn't get over the maximum number for that site. Now, yes, it does mean troops would have to share that campsite, but there's plenty of room in that campsite to do so. So we kind of looked at a hybrid of that. So starting this year, so it's generically we say the Monday after Father's Day weekend. And the reason the magic of that day is it's OA Conclave. So it's the Monday after OA Conclave. Reservations open. It's online only. Each campsite has been assigned a number of troops that can accommodate. Multiple troops can sign up for the same site until full. And afterwards, we have the ability to, let's say 3 troops sign up for, but no one signs up for Black Hawk, let's just say. Everyone wants Apache, but no one's Black Hawk. It's next door. We can call those troops and say, hey, what do you think, type of thing. There's still a $100 campsite for the reservation fee. That hasn't changed. Now, one thing that has changed starting next year, does not affect this year at all, there will be a $20 refundable deposit until the early bird fee, which is due the first Friday in May. What that will do on March 1st is give, in this case, Steve and I, kind of an idea of how many kids are going to be coming to camp each week, which will affect t-shirt orders, will affect patch orders, will affect staffing in some regards. So we kind of have an idea of how many people are coming from each week. After May 1st, it's unrefundable, just like it is today. But it is a refundable deposit to kind of help give us an idea of who's coming to camp that week. We'll go ahead and switch to the next slide, and I'll turn it over to Dawn, who is our new popcorn chair for the council.
All right, so my name is Dawn Selly. For those that don't know me, I am the Scoutmaster for Troop 58, and I also just took over as the council popcorn chair. Popcorn is not only a great way to raise money for your troop, it also helps support our 3 camp properties. Your unit can also save over 20% on your camp fees by selling popcorn. This year's kickoff will be August 24th at Cedar Point. We not only will be conducting training at this time, we are also planning a fun-filled activity day at camp. You'll want to get as many youth as possible from your troop to attend this event. This will help your unit hit the benchmarks needed to earn that extra commission and become Super Saver troops. You can see on here the ones that have hit it this past year, and so I can go over the Super Saver units. They have an average per youth of $375 or more. They save $30 per person. Scouts that sell $1,000 or more receive a camp discount of $25. This is up to $55 saving on the price of camp. Plus, Super Saver units get a free t-shirt versus having to purchase them for an additional $8. That brings the total savings up to $63. And congratulations to all the units that got the Super Saver.
Next slide. We do want to make sure that all of our parents know about family camp. It's very popular with parents that have their son and now daughter interested in going to summer camp on the campsite of camp, but they bring up everybody else in their RV and enjoy family camp. There are boats over there. The fishing is great on the lake. We also have 4 family cabins. Not to be confused with the Cuyuna Family Experience, which is a camp that happens right before the 4th of July, and it's designed for the entire family to come up and enjoy camp as a family and get to shoot the guns, go on the waterfront, climb the tower, all of that. So next slide. Camp leadership, this is not a change, but it's important to reiterate that all adults in camp must be registered. This does not count those adults that are on family camp unless those adults are also going to come over to the other side and provide leadership throughout the day. If they're just going to the family camp to enjoy the that week and not part of your unit leadership, they do not have to be registered. But the leaders that are staying in camp, camping in your campsite, or just staying the day in your campsite, those do need to be registered. Two deep leadership is required. This means someone's over 21, and somebody that's youth protection trained. Again, they have to be registered. If your troop needs help with this, let us know because we can match you up. We did this actually with a troop that came from Texas a couple years ago. They only had 1 leader with them, but we matched them with Perry Weishman's troop, and they just functioned as 1 troop through the week. They shared leadership with each other and worked very well. So if you need that, let us know. We can definitely work with you. If you are a Scouts BSA all-girl troop, at least one of those leaders must be a female leader. Next slide, please. Next, I'd like to turn it over to our camp director, Steve Knuth.
Good evening. All right, so yeah, we have a lot of exciting changes for 2019. We have some changes dealing with the different merit badges, mostly. Canoeing merit badge will be a 1-hour class versus a 2-hour class. The addition of another session of kayaking merit badge. We are encouraging youth and adults to, or at least one person from each troop to take the lifeguard BSA, as we'll be asking for more from those at other camps too, Cedar Point especially. Astronomy merit badge will be back to a 1-hour class. We're offering the complete angler certification. Talk about that. New merit badges: forestry, nature, photography, movie making, fire safety, painting, and plumbing. And then also we moved pioneering merit badge to Foxfire to take with basketry. Next slide. I guess the thing that I want to encourage you all through all this is to continue to take a look at the leader's guide that's on the website. Take a look at all the forms that are on the website. Take a look and go into the registration area and familiarize yourself with registering. So yeah, complete angler award. So we're offering fishing, fly fishing, and fish and wildlife management. And if you did all three of those, then you'd get the complete angler award. Right, next slide. Photography and movie making will be combined. So scouts will need to bring a digital camera or bring their smartphone. Scouts will work on closing campfire as part of this merit badge. All right, next slide. The industrial arts, as we are now calling that area, welding merit badge, painting merit badge, plumbing merit badge. This year, home repair was taken out. So these merit badges will meet up with the admin and then transfer to the maintenance area for those merit badges. Yep, waterfront. So we'll have canoeing has moved from a 2-hour class to a 1-hour class. This hopes to boost participation in that merit badge and introduce scouts to more canoeing. And then kayaking is also an extra one that's a very popular merit badge as well. And then, yeah, again, lifeguard BSA. Each troop should have at least one person that is a certified lifeguard. This could either be a youth or adult. Doing this allows your unit to offer more aquatic-related activities throughout the year. It also, now that we have kayaks, canoes at Cedar Point, we'll need people that are lifeguard BSA there. So hopefully each troop will have at least one person for lifeguard BSA. Right, next. So this is the merit badge is not offered in 2019. Soil and water conservation, weather, electricity, geocaching, public speaking, and home repair. Now, that doesn't mean that those merit badges might come back in the future, just not for 2018. Right, next is pioneering and pottery, or excuse me, pioneering and basketry. And these two merit badges will be offered together this year in the Foxfire area. This will be a 2-hour class in the afternoon. And then next slide is the Thursday night merit badge. Well, this year will be fire safety. So take a look at that. Next slide. Yeah, so hashtag Camp Cuyuna 2018. You go to your social media and you can load your pictures onto that area for Camp Cuyuna. And you'll see that we've updated a lot of the photos for our camp promotions and other things that we have for promoting camp. Next slide. So for the last few years, we've had Joe Waschlager lead the Trek program. This year we're gonna partner with Camp Wilderness and the Boundary Waters. So for 475 scouts will check in at camp on Sunday and then be transported to Northern Tier. They will set out with a ranger the next morning and enjoy Boundary Waters for that weekend, and then come back on Friday morning or Friday evening before the campfire. We are looking for volunteers to transport youth to and from Northern Tier, as well as those to go along with the ranger on the trip.
Steve, let me jump in real quick, because I've had a couple questions already on this. That 475 is a total cost. It is not in addition to the Camp Cuyuna cost. I've had a couple questions on that, so I just wanted to interject that so it was clear to everybody.
It's also a price from Northern Tier, right?
Correct. It's the Northern Tier price.
That's their price, not our price. So that's what they're wanting. Also, that MEA weekend, there's going to be a trip for MEA weekend, and that will be leave Mankato on Thursday, canoe on Friday and Saturday, and return home on Sunday of MEA weekend in October. We will have a special orientation meeting at Camp Cedar Point on August 24th after the popcorn kickoff. Then all participants for the Boundary Waters trip, of course, need to be swimmers. We're looking for volunteers to go with. Yep. We're also partnering with Camp Wilderness to form this group.
And that volunteer needed to come from our council or Camp Wilderness. That's what's nice about having the partnership. In addition, we'll have a ranger go with them from the Boundary Water. That's part of the reason the cost is there, because we're paying a ranger from the Boundary Waters to go out with them.
Well, they'll leave Sunday, or
you'll come up to camp, they'll leave camp on Sunday, head over to the Boundary Waters, and then come back over on Friday. I don't know the exact time for dinner at least, but Friday to get back with your unit on Saturday morning. I think it's 4, but that's again 4 between both us and Wilderness.
it's in the leader's guide too. I think it's 4. Yeah. It's a great opportunity for scouts that want to go and they can't go, or their troop isn't going, or they want to go experience it for a short time a week. So you get a taste of Northern Tier that way.
Just a reminder, if you guys get questions there, we can't hear the questions, so you need to just repeat them.
All right, thank you. All right, next slide. Yeah, brotherhood conversion. Those airmen and women that have been ordeal members for at least 10 months and have not been able to make it to the spring conclave, we're offering for the second year brotherhood conversion classes during the summer camp. Next slide. Dealing with trips outside of camp. Take a look at the river tubing that's there in Cross Lake. It's about an hour or so ride down the river. It's a good time. Craft Mine Museum, which is by Crosby, along with the Cuyuna Recreation Area and the mountain bike paths that are around that area of Crosby. Brainerd has the zip line tour, and I believe the cost for that is $25, $30. I think they need a group of 10 or so for that. That's in the leader's guide for that. Also, there's horseback riding in the area, and that's $30, I think, for 1 hour, or $60 for 2 hours. And your troop can take a look at that as well. So many different things to take a look at in the area. Finally, if you have any questions, my phone number is 507-525-3149. You can text me or call me if you have any questions. Just let me know. Early January, we hired a new ranger. His name is Tom Stover. He's up at camp already. He's already gone through his ranger training, and we're excited to have Tom up there. Camp has a new phone number.
Don't have it yet.
It's not okay.
Not up yet.
It's not up yet. Okay, but there will be a new phone number, and I'm sure we'll post that when that's time. So any questions?
We're going to open up the questions. I'll also mention that the successful camp has 100% to do with the camp staff. So if you have youth in your unit, you have young adults, you have people that you know that may have some working camp staff, would encourage them to apply. That 18 to 20 and over 21, as you can imagine, are hard to get. But those also are camp leadership. So please encourage those to apply, and because that's what makes a great camp. And with that, we'll open up to questions.
Okay, so if anybody has any questions that is online, go ahead and put those in the chat part.
Questions here? Doesn't look like we have any here. Any online?
Not yet. I had a question. I'm trying to think. Something to do with registration. I personally had a question. This escapes me now.
Ray, I have a question.
Yes.
For the girl units, do they register separate? Are they able to stay on the same site as their? So do they register separate, or do they register where they're linked?
You would register as their unit, but I believe Shelley has already, or if not, she can put you in the same campsite reservation and override the current system. So at this point, we're talking about the 2 people. So just work with Shelley to help make sure that happens.
What was that question?
The all-girl troops, they have to register separately. They'll register as their own unit, but we can work with her to make sure that they get put in their campsite with their partner unit.
Okay.
Link unit.
Okay, so here's a question from Mary. If there ends up being multiple troops possibly staying in one site, is there still a $100 deposit required for each troop?
At this point, the answer to that is yes. However, let's relook at that from the Boy Scout Camping Committee. I don't think we can break out the deposit separately, because I think what's going to happen, and Steve might be able to answer this if he's still online, I think the system, once you try to reserve, it's immediately going to have the deposit asked for. Is that correct?
Let's see here. Steve is no longer online with us, so.
I believe that's the case, but I will definitely have Shelley look at that.
Well, yeah, and we'll be posting this video online, and we'll include answers to some, if there's questions that we can't answer, we'll include those in the text of the video. So, question I had was in the registration, some of the merit badges said you know, or activities like the BSA lifeguard said you have to be at least 15. So I'm guessing the unit should register the kids and put in their age based on the age they will be at camp, not the age that they are when they are registering, correct?
Agreed.
Okay, just want to make sure. Chris has a question. What is the status of the upgrades to campsites? Oh, latrine upgrades to campsites.
Some of them are done. We're talking about the screening and stuff. Some of them are done. Will also, I know, be a spring work project at the spring conclave to finish those up. If you're referring to the ability to put flush toilets in each one that happened at Iroquois, that's had to be reaped out. We could not get approval from the Crow Wing County to do those. So that will not be happening, but the screening and stuff will be happening. If it's not done already, will happen at the OA conclave.
Any other questions? We don't have any other questions online, so.
Okay. Again, thanks everyone for coming. If a question comes up, feel free to contact either Steve directly, he gave you the number earlier, or here at the office. We'll be happy to address. And please bear with us. It's the first year for a new reservation system, so if you have problems, please give us a call and we'll help walk through them. I'm sure we'll have some issues going through the first year, but we'll work those out as time goes on. If you encounter an issue, let us know so we can get it fixed. Thank you.
Thanks everybody for joining. This video will be recorded and we'll be uploading that to our YouTube channel and then posting it on our Facebook page sometime early next week. So just be looking for that if you want to watch it again or share it with others. So. Good.